Okay, so let's dive right in. The big news, really, buzzing around the financial world is eToro.
Absolutely.
They just hit the Nasdaq, ticker ETOR, and, well, it wasn't exactly a quiet debut.
No, definitely not. A 29% jump on day one, right? Above the IPO price.
Yeah, exactly. They priced at $52, closed at $67, and actually, it even hit $74.28 briefly back on May 14th. Quite a start.
It really is. And what's interesting, I think, is what this signals. We've got this eToro IPO outlook report we looked at and some chatter from another podcast discussing the debut.
You're right.
And both seem to suggest this is pretty significant, not just for eToro itself, but maybe for the whole fintech scene.
That's the plan for this deep dive then. Let's get past those headlines. What are the sources really telling us about, their financial health, where they might be heading?
And what the key takeaways are for you listening in.
Exactly. We want to pull out the stuff that genuinely matters here.
Okay, so starting with that IPO reaction, it was actually upsized, wasn't it? Which usually means, well, strong demand.
That's right. They were aiming for, I think, 10 million shares initially, between $46 and $50 a share. But they ended up selling 11.9 million shares, brought in nearly $620 million. So, yeah, way above their initial target.
Which tells you something right there. That increase in shares and the price bump. Investors were clearly keen.
Serious interest right out of the gate.
And it does suggest maybe a bit more confidence returning to fintech IPOs. We haven't seen a huge amount of activity there recently.
Yeah, it feels like it could be a positive sign. And looking at their performance, you can sort of see why there's interest. The numbers are, well, they're pretty striking.
The revenue growth especially.
Yeah, $12.64 billion in revenue for 2024. That's up from, $3.43 billion in 2023? That's a massive leap.
Huge leap. But, what's maybe even more impressive is the net income figure.
Right.
They went from $15.3 million profit to $192.4 million in the same year.
Wow.
That's not just growing fast, that's becoming seriously profitable at scale. And that's something the market definitely notices in fintech.
Absolutely. We see so many fintechs focused purely on growth, maybe pushing profits down the road. So eToro hitting both, that definitely makes them stand out.
Yeah.
And the Outlook report we saw suggests this momentum could keep going if, user engagement stays high and trading volumes hold up.
Especially in stocks and crypto, which seem to be their big areas.
And there's potential for more growth, too, right? Like expanding into new markets.
For sure, geographic expansions is always a possibility, but also new products. Things like options trading, perhaps, or even more access into DeFi.
DeFi, decentralized finance.
Right.
That could definitely attract a certain type of user.
Yeah, opens up new avenues.
Okay, moving off pure financials for a second. Their user base, that's another big piece here. 40 million users.
40 million across 75 countries. It's a pretty substantial global footprint.
So what's drawing them in? Particularly, it seems, millennials and Gen Z.
Well, their strategy seems really focused there. Emerging markets, younger traders, and the big hook seems to be those social trading features.
Ah, the copy trading.
Exactly. Letting users basically, see what top traders are doing and copy their moves.
That's definitely a different approach than, say, a traditional broker. So when they copy someone, is it, automatic?
Often, yes. You can set it up to replicate the trades automatically. It's appealing if you're new to investing, maybe still learning.
I can see that. Lowers the barrier.
And you think about retail investing growing globally, maybe crypto markets recovering. eToro seems pretty well placed.
Plus, if they get regulatory green lights in more places, like more U.S. states or parts of Europe.
Yeah, that could unlock significant user growth too.
Now, this IPO doesn't just exist in a vacuum. It impacts the wider fintech sector, doesn't it?
It could, yeah. The IPO Outlook report hinted at that. A successful debut like this might boost investor confidence across the board.
Potentially leading to better valuations for other fintechs, maybe encourage some others to go public?
It's possible, but, we still have those broader economic headwinds to consider.
Right. Things like high interest rates aren't going away overnight.
And the regulatory picture, especially around crypto, is still uncertain.
True. But if things stabilize a bit and fintech stays attractive overall,
then yeah, eToro could become a kind of bellwether, a company you watch to gauge the health of the publicly traded fintech space.
So thinking about their position, who are they really competing against? It's a crowded space.
Oh, absolutely. You've got the big names like Robinhood, Coinbase, Interactive Brokers.
And those newer DeFi platforms we mentioned.
Right, so differentiation is key.
And eToro's angle seemed to be that social community aspect.
Definitely. The copy trading is unique.
And also the range of assets they offer, right? The multi-asset thing, stocks, crypto, commodities.
Yeah, that breadth is a differentiator compared to some platforms that focus maybe just on stocks or just on crypto.
So their long-term advantage, their sort of moat, it hinges on keeping that product fresh.
Product innovation, definitely. And crucially, retaining that engaged user base, especially the popular traders who draw others in.
It's that network effect, isn't it? The more people use it, the more valuable it becomes for everyone.
Exactly. That seems pretty central to their model.
Okay, so we saw the initial pop in the stock price, that 29% jump. Trading above $67 now after peaking higher earlier. Strong start.
Very strong start. But it's worth remembering there could be some short-term volatility.
Like when lockup periods expire?
Yeah, when early investors and insiders can start selling shares, that can put pressure on the price. Plus, just people taking profits after that initial surge.
Makes sense. So the real test comes later.
I think so. The report emphasizes, too, long-term investors will be watching those Q2, Q3 earnings reports very closely.
To see if that growth trajectory is sustainable, if the fundamentals really hold up.
Precisely. That's what will tell the longer story.
So wrapping things up then, the overall outlook feels cautiously optimistic. Is that fair?
I think that's fair. They've come to market with strong numbers, a clear, distinctive model.
That resonates with a specific and growing group of investors.
Right, and if they can keep monetizing that global user base effectively,
while navigating all the regulatory hurdles,
and keep innovating,
then yeah, they have the potential to be a pretty significant fintech stock, maybe one for people to consider in a diversified portfolio down the line.
Agreed. Potential is definitely there.
Which leaves us with a final thought, maybe something for you, the listener, to chew on. Given eToro's global reach and this focus on social trading for a new generation, how might that actually reshape online investing? You know, the way people engage with markets, learn about investing, could this model really change things long term? We're thinking about the potential disruption.